Peter. Peter is the top guy of the disciples, right? He's the leader of the pack. He's the captain of the team. He's the one everybody follows. Pardon me?
Number two?
Number two? Like next to Jesus? Yeah, that's who he is. And it's the last night. And they're all sitting around the table. And Jesus says to them, "Hey guys, I'm going away." And they go, "Where are you going?" Now he has told them several times that he has come to die and to be buried and to be rise again. And it has gone like this. Woof! They don't get it. In one ear, out the other. They have no clue what he's talking about. That's not what Messiah is supposed to do according to their information, what they think. So that can't happen. So whatever he's talking about, we don't know what it is. So he's saying, "I have to go away." They go, "Well, can we go with you?" "No, you can't go with me." "Why can't we go with you?" And then one of them says, "Where are you going?" He goes, "Wait a minute, you guys haven't been listening?" And then he says to them, "You guys are all going to deny me." Peter goes, "Hey, no way, not me. I'm the faithful one. I'm with you to the end. I will die before I deny you." Jesus says, "You know, before the cock crows," the cock is a rooster, "twice, by tomorrow morning, you will have denied me 3 times. Peter says, "No way." And then he starts to talk to them. You realize he talks to them for 4 chapters? That's a long talk. And after he talks to them for 4 chapters, they get up and they go and they go off to a special place where Jesus has to make the single hardest decision ever made in the history of the world. And it is so hard. He is praying and he goes, "I know this is what you want me to do, God. This is so hard." And he's sweating to where it looks like he's dripping blood. And it's a cool night. Now in the meantime, the disciples have dozed off and fallen asleep, and Jesus is stressing out, trying to decide, should I do this? He finally says, "Yes, God, I will do it." So they get up and they leave, and in a little bit, one of his followers actually comes and gives him a kiss on the cheek. And that was a denial. That was a betrayal. That was to set up who should be arrested. About right then, the soldiers come in. Jesus is then wrapped up in chains or shackles or ropes or something, and he's carried away. And Peter's, "See, I'm not going to deny you." So he pulls out his little sword thing. He goes, whoo, he's going to save Jesus, and all he does is chop off somebody's ear. Jesus picks up the ear, puts it back on, all's well, and they carry him away to be on trial. Yes, you would think, like, okay, he just saved the ear. You would think they would go, duh, but no, they didn't. At this point, Peter becomes terrified. Oh my goodness, they really are arresting him. They really are taking him away. And he runs in panic. All the disciples run in panic. And they carry Jesus away. It's evening time, it's light, and it is illegal in Israel to have a trial at night. He has 6 trials that night. 3 are Jewish, 3 are Roman. Every single one of them found him by evidence innocent. Every single one of them declared him guilty. You are guilty of being Messiah. Well, yeah, I am. Because that's who I am. They said, no, you're not, you're lying. And so they carry, as a matter of fact, they take him up to Caiaphas's house. Caiaphas is the high priest. He's the big guy who says who's guilty, who's not, and he's got this big fancy house, and he's probably in the upper chambers, and there's outside stairs. They push Jesus up there. They are putting a bag over his head and punching his face and saying, okay, if you're Messiah, who did that? And then they take it off and they spit in his face. And then they slap him. And they do all kinds. In the meantime, Peter's going, whoa, I got to find out what's going on. So he sneaks into the courtyard. He stands at the gate, and he's going to go down there and stand by the fire and sneak into the courtyard and see what's going on. He can kind of see up there. And a slave girl comes and says, oh, you're one of his. And Peter goes, no, am not. I am not one of his. And a rooster crows, but he doesn't hear it. Another guy comes by and says, oh, well, actually, it's the same girl comes by later on. She goes, I know you're one of his. I've seen you. And he swears and says all kinds of bad words. And he says, I am absolutely not a follower of Jesus. And then as he's talking around, in the meantime, Jesus is being beaten up there and found. They've got people who are telling lies, coming up and saying, he did this and he did that and he said this and he said that, and they are false, and they can't even get their stories straight. And the high priest finally looks at him and says, are you Messiah? And he says, yes, I am. He goes, guilty! And down there at the fire where Peter is, one of the guys goes, oh, you speak with a Galilean accent. I know you're one of his. And he just says all kinds of bad words and says, I absolutely am not. And right then, they are hauling Jesus out, down the stairs. The rooster crows, and Jesus' eyes and Peter's meet. Can you imagine looking in his eyes? Look what I just did. And Jesus then is hauled down the stairs. What happens to him is what I'm going to tell you tomorrow. Today I'm going to tell you what happened to Peter. He ran off just awful. You realize he has absolutely failed. He has done the worst thing he can do. He's like the guy who's the best basketball player on the team, the captain of the team. It is final game. There are 3 seconds left. He has the ball. He makes every one of these shots. If he makes that shot, they go to regionals. He makes the shot, and he fails. And the whole team goes, oh, you want to be that guy? He has been up here at the top, head leader, and whoo, he has fallen hard. He goes out, and when I say he cries all night, I'm not saying like a little baby crying. He goes out and grieves and weeps and mourns and is broken up inside and cannot hardly stand up. And that happens all night long. In the meantime, the story of Jesus gets seriously difficult. When they put him on a cross, I don't know if Peter's present. Peter does not come back. I don't think he's present. If he is present and he sees that, he's way off in the distance and nobody writes about it. When they take him down, Peter's not around. He can't go. He has just ruined everything. His life is ruined. He knows Jesus will never take him back after this. You feel that? He gets buried. He gets put in that tomb. And later on, he finds out that he is raised from the dead. Whoa, all of a sudden, Peter goes, wait a minute, there's more to this story than I knew. But even still, that's wonderful, but not for me. I already screwed up. I already ruined everything. So he sees Jesus alive, he's taught, there's the whole, and still this like, you feel Peter's poor soul? He goes, all right, I may as well go back and do what I used to do. So he goes way back up to Galilee and decides to go fishing. That's what he does. He fishes. And several of the disciples follow him. He says, don't follow me. I'm not the leader. I can't do this. But they follow him. And they go up there and they're fishing. And one of the things they did is they fished at night. I don't know, fish crawl into nets. They didn't have fishing poles. They had nets. They throw the nets in the water and all the fish get caught in the net. They fish all night long. Not one fish. Now he's really a failure. He can't even do what he used to do. Dawn starts to break. There on the shore is someone. The someone yells out, how about you throw the net on the other side of the boat? Like, really, stop and think. Is that going to do any good? If there were no fish on this side of the boat, are there going to be fish on this side of the boat?
No.
No.
Probably.
No, actually, that's not how fish work. You know, that's a cute answer, but that's not how fish work. So, they go, all right, why not? I mean, they're already so discouraged, so depressed, so down. They throw the fish on the other side, the net on the other side of the boat, and all of a sudden, the boat almost flips over because there's so many fish in the net. Like, and Peter goes, giant flashback. Because 3 years ago, he had been out fishing. And he had fished all night. Not one fish. And he was so discouraged. And all of a sudden, somebody on the shore says, throw the net on the other side of the boat. And he goes, yeah, right, like that's going to work. And come on, throw it on. Throw it on the other side of the boat. He throws it on the other side of the boat, filled with fish. And Peter, and that was the moment Jesus said to him, this is 3 years ago, Jesus says to him, Peter, you follow me. You be mine. I have chosen you. You are mine. And right then, now jump forward to this time. That's Jesus on the shore. And he is calling to Peter a second time, and he says, you are still mine. I still have chosen you. You belong to me. You fail, you screw up, you sin, you fall off the high thing where you were so important and you are now a mess. And Jesus says, I'm reaching out my hand. You are still mine. So Peter goes flying out of the boat, swims to the shore. He's got to get Jesus. Jesus got breakfast ready for him. They're cooking fish. They get fried fish for breakfast over the fire. They're cooking fish. And Jesus says to him, Peter, you guys listening back there? All the way in the back? Peter, do you love me? Peter goes, yeah, God. Yeah, Jesus, I love you. He goes, then I have a job for you. You are still chosen. I want you to feed my lambs. That means Peter will now be the leader, the shepherd, and the lambs are all the new people that need to hear about him. So here's the message. Every single one of us is going to screw up. Have you ever screwed up on anything in your life? I have. I've made big mistakes, and I go out of there thinking, I'm never going to recover from this. And you know what Jesus says? I have a plan for you. I have forgiveness for you. I have a plan for you. You are still chosen. You are still mine. You can't break our relationship. You can screw up. You can get forgiven. I want you to know that. When you fall and you land hard and it's your fault, you tell him that you have done that, and he reaches out his hand and he says, you are still mine. And he brings you in and forgives you. That's what he did to Peter. He still has a plan for your life. That is something more valuable than you know. knowing that God still wants you after you have made huge mistakes. So tomorrow I'm going to tell you why God still wants you after you have made huge mistakes. So let's pray. Dear Father in heaven, we stand here as a bunch of Peters who want to follow you, and yet we can't. We screw up, we fall, we sin, we make mistakes, we mess up, and we feel terrible. Thank you for being the one on the shore telling us that we are still yours. Please sink that into our heads, because guilt is a hard thing to deal with, and you forgive us. Father, I ask that you push that into all these heads. In Jesus' name, amen.